All right. So today's session is finance, and something I did not ever want to share or talk about, but I ended up doing an entire course on the whole thing because of as part of the consulting reviews that I was doing. I realized that not a lot of people have this strength, or at least if they do, it's they've left it to their accountants, and in most cases, they've made a bit of a mess out of it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about finance today. All right. Hey, Jack, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And first time on this call. Awesome. Joss. All right. So let's get the ball rolling. Today, we talk about finance. I want to talk about so what transpired. So let me see why this happened. So there's an agency that I was working with. They reached out to me. They said, "Hey, we want to exit. And can you help us get to a stage where we can package this whole thing up and sell it off?" So they were doing reasonably well, about a mil to mil and a half a month in spend. Not quite at the mil a day range in spend, but so reasonably good business, good margin. And they shared the P&L, because one of the things I said to them, I said, "Oh, before you sell, you got to make sure there's no skeletons in your closet." They said, "Oh, we've got an accountant," and I said, "All right, so show me your structure." They showed me a structure. They had a holding company, and they had two or three subsidiaries, all this kind of stuff, and one was giving a loan to the other because one was, it was a bit of a mess. So I said, "All right, let's break it down. What you should have, if that's the case, then you should have, let's say if one is loaning to the other, then one's accounts receivable equals the other one's accounts payable." And obviously the numbers were out. So I said, "Is it a timing difference or is something else wrong?" So anyway, we did a deep dive, and basically what we realized was that the financials had no representation of what was actually happening in actually the cash flow of the business. So long story short, I helped them recruit an accountant and so on and so forth. We started fixing things up. And then I said, "All right, show me the P&L as you've currently got." And this time I'm looking at their bank statements, or their cash actually in the bank. And we can see like something like this, like, like 1.3, 1.3, and we jump to like 1.5, 1.7, and we're like 1.3, 1.3, and we jump to like 1.7. And it happened for the full 18 months or 2 years or something. And I was like, started thinking they were washing money for the mob or something, because every quarter there'd be a nice big lump sum payment coming through. But somehow the ad spend never went up. So I was like, unless you've got a good deal from Google or Facebook or someone who to give you a nice discount every quarter, a rebate, maybe a big fat rebate every quarter that I don't know about, I've never heard of. Let me know if you got some sort of a sweet deal going on. It wasn't that. What was happening was every quarter they would have one or two of their clients who would give them money for the next quarter. So imagine in March here, they got this big lump sum payment to pay for leads that they were going to supply in March, April, and May. And so if that's the case, then, well, firstly, there were some issues with how they're reporting it. That should not be reported as revenue. And so, terrible accountant right there. What you should be doing is putting it as unearned revenue, and then as you supply leads, you invoice and you income that is. So therefore, you don't have this big lumpy jumps, which made me realize that they were doing a whole bunch of stuff that was also not correct from an accounting standpoint. So they were in no position to sell, because if you show this kind of thing to a potential buyer, they'll know that they're dealing with a bunch of chumps, and the price will go down really quickly as they go through your due diligence. So I said, "All right, selling is off the table. Let's go fix up the financials." But the one other thing I warned them about, I said that if you have a bad month or a bad quarter, because you never look at your cash flow, oh, well, firstly, you can't, because it's just all over the place. Because you guys aren't looking at it, if you have a really bad quarter or month, you won't realize until you go to pay Google or Facebook or whatever, and you realize, oh, our bank balance doesn't quite look right. It's a bit lower than what it should be, and perhaps not enough to pay the bills. And they're like, no, we've been new for 5 years. We're cool. We're okay. I said, "All right, you know what? It's your business, end of the day, not mine." But I said, "You guys should go and do, you should do this, but hey, what do I know?" All right. This is what happened. All right. This is fraud traffic. or something equivalent to this. They ended up, the amount of fraud jumped. Now, the other thing that happened is that the media buying team would have a positive ROAS. But what was happening, what the sales team was doing was giving, basically giving, because they were all being reported as a fraud or dupes or whatever. So they were adding credits against which to supply future leads. So what was happening was the true ROAS was actually 0 or negative even. But the media buying guys could not see that because obviously the refunds and rejections and dupes and all that sort of stuff was happening, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe days later. But that is not being reflected with a server-side API call to manage conversions in the ad network. So the media buyer has no idea that the leads that I'm supplying are actually junk, and my campaigns are nowhere near as profitable as they thought it was. Right, and I got some questions here. Let me just make sure.
Questions can wait till later. That's right.
Yeah, cool. No worries. Thanks for putting that in, Josh. Right. So what happens now is now, of course, if you were doing the sales and the media buying, you'd probably catch this. But generally speaking, if you're going to get to mil to 2 mil or 5 mil or 10 mil or 20 mil a month in ad spend, you're largely going to have teams that do different aspects of it. And so how do you bring it all together? And so at the time when I told these guys that you guys really should be doing this on an accruals basis as well, not just cash flow. And I even built them something like this to use. And I said, guys, use this otherwise, so to catch any issues that you do have. Now, of course, you can automate all this sort of stuff, and I find I'm a big fan of automation as much as the next guy. But sometimes it's just nice to have everything done in a nice Excel spreadsheet and then automate later, right? Because it only takes 10 minutes of work. Even if you automate it, how much time and money are you going to save? I get it. We want to have our marketing automations because obviously, they cost a lot when things go wrong. Updating Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet with some values does not. So what I told them is that you're gonna put your income here on an accruals basis. So what that basically means is if I sold let's say 100 let's say if I sold 100 leads, I want to put the revenue of that right here. I put my ad spend here, which is the ad spend that I have accrued for the week. I'm going to put that here. And then I just track my impressions, my visitors, my gross leads, and then sort of how many returns there were. So I returned 10 leads for that week. The important thing I told them is that if you have any returns coming in this week, or this week, or for that matter, or anywhere else, but those leads came from the week ending 17th of Feb, then I need you to go back and update that number, this number on this day, not in the future. So usually what would happen is if you have returns happening on the let's say, for example, the week here, they're like, oh yeah, that's my returns for the week. I'm just going to add that here. But what if that client is a bit slow or delayed or whatever, and they're not getting back to you, let's say 2 weeks after the fact, right? It can happen. Then what you want to do is you want to go and update the leads for when they were generated. So what you're looking for from the client is give me your lead ID or give me the date at which we transferred the lead to you or whatever, some metric, something along those lines, so you can go back and adjust on the right day. And the reason why you're doing this is because you're after the real conversions for the day or the real conversions for the week in this case, and not be deluded to the fact that oh, my leads were okay, because this is what the media buying team also needs to see, that what's actually going on 3, 4, 5 days, or maybe even a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later. And when you do this kind of adjustments, you realize, well, one of two things is I'm no longer as profitable as I thought I was. That's the first thing you're going to catch. Secondly, as you fill this out week to week, and let's say you've done it for 6 months now, you're going to get a very nice how can I put it, like really on your fingertips, sort of the numbers you're looking at. So my average CTRs are around about 1.2%. My lender to leads conversion, I'm getting around about 13%. My rejections are around about 6.5%. So as soon as this number jumps to, say, for example, 10%, or this number goes down to 2%, they both are indicators that, hang on a second, something's gone wrong. Have I made a mistake in my data entry? Because all of a sudden, or what's happened. So whether you're whenever you move away from the average, you always want to send yourself a trigger, and Google Sheets are an amazing place for you to go and add in triggers. where you can say that if this cell ever goes above let's say 9%, then send me a trigger. If it goes below 4%, then send me a trigger. That way you manage by exceptions, and you could have something along the lines of through Zapier or something, send a message to Slack or email me or whatever. And you could just make a channel saying, warning or something, or financials warning or something. And so usually nothing ends up in there. So obviously if something pops up in there, then something has gone wrong or needs careful investigation. Now, if you do this, you catch this a week after the fact and not a month or two or never, in the case of what these guys went through. And so this is the difference between a cash flow based model versus accruals. This is accruals accounting, where I'm looking at my P&L on a week-to-week basis and making sure that shenanigans like this, which can happen and does happen. By the way, this is YouTube traffic. There are days inside YouTube in some markets, like solar, we do see up to 80-90% of just fraud coming through. In the prior weeks, I have shared on the tracking and techie part of the thing about how to manage that, how to manage the fraud stuff in a more real-time basis. But ultimately, this is also a tool for fraud checking. Because if this number jumps really, really high, or whatever reason, or let's say that number jumps really high, but then that conversion is not backing out, then that's another indicator that, well, hang on a second, how can I have a lot more clicks coming through, but a lot less people that are backing out in terms of my real conversion? So something has gone wrong. So you're catching it a week or two into this thing. And if you do this daily, then obviously you can catch this daily, but daily the volatility might be too great. So you want to adjust for that. You can do it daily. Obviously, if your ad spend is high enough, then you should be doing it daily. But what you're looking for here is something that just flushes out and making sure that everything is running as per across the entire business. Now you can break this up by client, you can break this up by vertical, you can kind of factorialize it in however way you want. That way, so let's say, for example, if bulk of your spend is in a particular vertical or a specific client, then you can strip that part out and do an equivalent of this just for that specific just for the specific client or the vertical, and then have an overall picture. So use the 80-20 rule. Wherever you've got risk is what you need to have a lot more kind of like check about, and where you're not having that much risk, you can kind of let it go. So, for example, if I had a lot of spend in, let's say, in personal injury, then I'd make sure that I do this, weekly personal injury. But if I'm only spending 5% of my ad spend in, let's say, solar, then I might do this monthly for solar, because should something go wrong, it's not enough to tank the business or to cause any serious damage to the business. Now, thankfully, with these guys, they've been doing this for about 5 or 6 years, as I said. And they had basically borrowed against their houses and credit cards and whatever else to sort of pay off to pay Facebook or Google or whoever it was, and that way they were able to sort of survive, obviously with a bit of stress. And then 12 months later, still having calls with them every so often. They've done quite well. They've added lots of bits and stuff in, a bit more communication going on in the team. And I think it looks like in the next 6 months or so, they'll be looking at having some sort of a sale going on. All right. Okay, so that kind of completes the finance part. I didn't want to say much more, except did want to share one thing, and I had done a Facebook post about it some time ago, so I will share this. For the if anyone watching this on YouTube that doesn't know my background, I'm formerly in the investment banking space, and I had done a whole course on the whole thing called Finance SOS, where basically the point was that I shared like 8 or 9 sort of ratios or metrics, KPIs that you want to track about your business. People often overcomplicate it, but you don't need to. So you've got a P&L, you've got a balance sheet, and it all feeds into different ratios along the way. And you want to just track those ratios on a monthly basis. These days, if you're using QuickBooks or Xero, or one of those, this pops into any other third-party metric system. Internally, we use Fathom HQ, or Fathom as it's called, where it feeds all the data in, and we've just got formulas there that populates all this for us, and we've got it checked across month to month to month. And obviously, I covered how you should structure your balance sheet and P&L and so on and so forth. But the point is that this is really what ensures that you are driving enough value in the business to get paid for it. There's a lot of focus on, I just want conversions and all that sort of stuff. End of the day, when you're selling the business, the buyer doesn't give a crap about your ROAS and that sort of stuff. All they're like, hey, listen, how much am I paying for this damn thing? and how much money does it spin off. And if it doesn't spin off cash, then what's the growth look like? Because I'll buy growth if you have any, or I'm going to buy cash or a combination thereof, right? So really, this is the language when it actually comes to exiting. Too much focus on just running campaigns all the time and not enough focus on this means that the day you try to sell is the day you'll realize, oh crap, I should have been doing it for the last 3 years because nothing's organized enough to be able to sell, which is actually what transpired in the guys that I was talking about earlier, where their balance sheet, P&L, financials were just not organized enough to be in a position to sell. So with that, I will turn it over to any questions about this stuff. Otherwise, we'll open it up to any other questions on any other topic and issues that you guys want to chat about. So I'll just have a quick look at the questions here. Cool. All right. So now this question is not I'll answer Josh's question, but not related to finance. Otherwise, unmute your mics and feel free to ask whatever you want. Eric? All right, Eric.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the YouTube fraud again. I mean, we were testing. Interesting enough, we were testing solar on YouTube. It was crazy, but yeah, it was all fraud. I mean, it was crazy. Like we couldn't even get conversions were very limited, and the consumer, I don't know what it was, just going straight to the landing page, dude, and that was it.
Yeah. So it's getting easier and easier and easier to do that, which is why you need to ensure that you are passing your conversion server side and client side back into Facebook and make sure you're using enhanced conversions. And if you identify things as fraud, then you want to make sure you build an audience about that and let Google know that this is the kind of people you don't want. So you almost have to tell Google about your fraud as if it's a group of people you don't want, because obviously, yeah, it'd be nice if Google just killed that crappy traffic, but I don't know, based on the numbers we're seeing, let's say this is the average across the entire platform, then no one's going to take a haircut of 30% in revenue, right? So I don't think they'll be too motivated to kill that traffic anytime soon for us. So we have to do it by way of informing Google that this is the type of audience we're not looking for. And that is one way around it. Now, the other thing I shared, now, once again, I haven't done this in the Google side, but on the Facebook side, I know this. I don't know if you've added in other countries as exclusions. So unlike, because in Facebook, immediately 30% of your money starts getting spent outside your country if you don't have other countries as exclusions. So that's just an easy win. So if you're doing just US traffic, then just add every other country as a exclusion, and that should help somewhat as well. Now, obviously, with all of these things that we do have, none of this really kills a fraud to zero, and I don't think it ever will. And I think I covered a whole section last week, or maybe the week before last, where you can actually start over-optimizing, where you start killing real leads, and as a result, the whole venture to kill fraud becomes a little bit counterproductive. So what you need to do is ensure that we reduce it substantially enough and be aware of when it shows up. And that's why, because if a new tactic pops up ever when it comes to fraud, the tools will be too slow to pick it up, obviously, because you need to be aware of it before you can pick it up. So that's why the ultimate sort of the ultimate place where everything flushes out is actually this, because while you may not specifically know it's fraud or not, you'll know that your numbers are off. So and ultimately that's your main defensive sort of play here, because even none of the tools may be able to identify that this is actually fraud. And so that's the sort of in my opinion, like even if you add all the fancy bells and whistles and all the tools that are out there with regards to fraud and all that sort of stuff, you still cannot neglect this. None of that other stuff replaces this, because if you should one of those tools or the group of tools you're using misfire in some way, such as a new fraud, and I think I covered that last week where I covered I think it was Vastflex, which was a fraud where they would fire on a lander like 100 different video ads stacked on top of each other and trigger them using client-side code. So it looked like 100 impressions were used, but there's not a single human being that looked at it, because it was a bot itself that came to click. So and obviously you're paying for it if you're not careful. So I guess long story short, you need to have this in place to ensure that that's what's happening. Well, we are constantly adding more and more fraud tools in there. The issue has always been that what's the error rate of the fraud tool? Because if the error rate is too high, and let's say for example we update a custom field saying fraud, and it gives you a score, let's say from 0 to 100, and you go like, well, anything over 50 I'm gonna kill. But what if I don't know, someone happens to be in a building that has the same IP or whatever, so the error rate is reasonably high enough to make sure that you can't trust these things 100%, which is why a better approach, I think, is to use the fraud tools to update all your custom fields, as in tag the data properly, and then study the data to see what's actually coming through, what's actually looking like fraud, and then you build an audience around what's come through, and then you test that I think is a much more long-term solution to the issue, and a much more sophisticated solution to the problem than to just rely on Aura or any of the other sort of fraud tracking type tools. So anyway, I hope that I know it doesn't quite answer the question is how to get rid of it. It's there. We just got to know how to manage it is probably the only long-term solution. But I'm more than happy to get other people's views on it. Hey, Jack, how do you manage that?
I don't know. We don't really see a lot of fraud, to be honest.
Okay, right. Okay. All
yeah.
right.
Nothing that we really try and optimize for. I mean, like with Facebook, not fraud, but out of areas are always the issue. I mean, all channels are, especially if you're targeting a client within a specific geo, not like nationwide, but yeah.
This was specific to YouTube, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, YouTube's pretty bad. YouTube's pretty. So I should qualify that. In some verticals, YouTube is really bad. In some verticals, not. So, for example, I'm tracking a couple of large funnels that are running across LeadZoop. We've got our tracking set up there, and on the worst one we've seen is actually solar. Life insurance or insurance and all that stuff is actually not bad. Personal injury is also not bad. And so on and so forth. So this is mainly US traffic. I haven't tracked too much outside the country.
What do you mean by fraud though? Like fake leads or just no one's converting?
Yeah, no, this is traffic that is coming from bots.
Exactly.
100% bots. Yeah. Okay. So Jack, just to explain. So what happens is you have an automated system that builds a channel. You have an automated system that's posting videos on the channel. You've reached, and then you've got automated visitors that are visiting the channel. So they meet the criteria to go into the to supply impressions, I guess, into the ad network. And then when something shows, the bot's going to click it as well. So it's optimizing itself essentially to show up as a signal of where impressions should be shown, and that essentially is what this is. And how we can tell is that all the visitors, like the simple ones, are like all the visitors come out of some Malaysian IP, or like those are easy to catch. Now there's a lot of external tools that are out there that try and catch these things and inform you with it, with using with pixels and stuff that you can put on that allows you to identify what they are. But I haven't found none of them to be on a long-term basis very good. Now, in your case, if you've got client-side, server-side, and enhanced tracking, all that sort of stuff set up, supplying those things back into the ad network at volume, which is probably, Jack, is why you're not seeing much of it, is because you're pushing enough data back into Facebook and Google to probably identify that. But people that are starting out, it's a bit of a struggle because it's so hard to identify between the two.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you set everything to conversion bidding, TCPA or whatever, I think that might cut a lot of that out.
Correct. Yeah. All right. I guess that ends the other one. Are you
running directly on YouTube or through PMax, Eric?
Directly on YouTube.
And how do you know it's bot traffic?
Well, we're just seeing like just a ton of clicks and no conversions, and it's just odd. The traffic behavior is just totally odd, and we work with a group that.
Yeah. Have you broken down the traffic at all? the clicks once they land on the lead hook panels, where they're actually what the similarities are that make it.
It's
look
it's
like
literally like it looks like it's just going straight to the landing page and then it just dies off. It's not real. We work with a team that knows YouTube very well, and they're just like, we can't figure it out. So it's just
Actually,
interesting.
so Eric, what you could do, you could contact someone like Honora and say, hey, can I get a 30-day trial account? Because they're generally pricey, and just say, just so we can try it out, and add that on as a pixel, and and just see what it's popping up as, because if it's something really obvious, it'll show up there at least, and that at least that confirms or verifies that it's not a shitty lander problem, instead of a fraud problem. So
Couldn't you go to your leads hook funnel, look at your leads and just delete captured, and then you would look at all impressions on your leads hook funnel, and then like try and look at IPs or device types and see if something looks abnormal there too.
I was going to suggest that, Jack. It requires work, so I'm just going to go for the easier. So show them the easier version.
Okay. I mean, that just thought in my mind, so I'm trying to check something.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what I do when but unfortunately it requires a bit of work, so I'd rather give the one that does not require work.
It sounds like YouTube and solar, just who knows. I know it was working for a while for some.
Yeah. Right,
But
Josh,
anyway.
I'll answer your questions so that way we can get out of the way. Best way to get address on UK addresses. What's the postcode issue that you're seeing?
Basically, it doesn't come up with the autocomplete unless you have it in the very specific format.
Okay, all right. Unfortunately, that's just how what you could do. Okay, so try this out. Add a comment in there saying that please enter your complete, whatever
That's what we're
postcode
looking
you're picking. Yeah, so do an update with better languaging to explain what to do, and see if that works. The problem is that now if you find a third-party provider, let us know. But UK data providers are very, very expensive for addresses, because Royal Mail sells it for $1 gazillion. And Google, that's the reason why Google is inaccurate in the UK, because obviously Google's not paying for Royal Mail data. So that essentially is what the issue is. But having said that, we've got quite a few people using postcode inside LeadsHook, and most of them, at least, even Ben Hacking and those guys, they're using postcode, and it's working reasonably well for them.
I forget,
but
were we using regex with that as well?
You can, if you're just looking for postcode. If you're just looking for postcode, not the address, then that's fine. You don't need postcode. Because postcode is going to give you the actual address. So the workflow in the UK is you enter your postcode, and it gives you all the addresses related to the postcode.
Yeah.
And that's the workflow. Unlike the US, where you just enter in whatever and the full address pops up. UK doesn't work that way, because they've got many more postcodes, or their postcodes are much smaller. Sometimes a building will be a postcode, and inside there'll be apartment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to whatever 20 or 30. So try that out. Now, if you just need the postcode, regex will do the job. You don't need that, because if you just ask ChatGPT, it'll give you a regex for UK postcodes.
Yeah. All
right. Filtering out. Yes, that's we're hoping to release that this week. Actually, the bot traffic part of experiments, the experiments feature. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I think just
right.
dummy text might help.
Any other questions, concerns? So I guess this,
I have a
Jack.
question. We're starting to like A/B test embedded forms versus direct forms. I don't know if you generally know. What we've seen is we launched in like search on Google, we launched embedded forms. And like everything kind of like went to shit. Just iframing on like a Elementor page, and it seems like all of our costs went up. So we're testing now to go direct traffic to
direct's the way to go. If you can avoid obviously if you're doing a big 30-page 30-page thing, then you probably are better off building them in Elementor. But having said that, I have shared in the past. Let me see if I quickly can bring it up here.
Like with Facebook, we didn't see a change, and they perform pretty well.
Yeah.
But we're starting to test back into direct and see if it. I think maybe with Google or something with the iframe, it like, because the page speed's 10 out of 10 on Google Ads, like everything looks good. I think it's something just with the conversion rate or whatever. I think in our CPC.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, Jack, since you're quite technical, what you can do. Okay, so here's a little hack that I'll just share here. It's actually preloading your JS and your CSS part of it. So that's
Yep, I put those on all of our
okay,
elements.
perfect. All right, okay, perfect, cool, right. Okay, so with that out of the way, then what I do is you add a webhook node as your very first node, and just send that to a Google Sheet, and see if that reconciles to my. I guess the thing we want to test here is that traffic getting to your landing page. And so if you can fire a webhook from WordPress itself, then do that. So I guess the point I'm being is WordPress stopping leads up from loading is the first thing. Is WordPress itself loading? So you want to reconcile the clicks on Google versus the arrivals on WordPress, and then the arrivals on Leads Hook, and all three should line up. So if I've got 50 ad clicks, I should say 50 people seeing WordPress and 50 people seeing Leads Hook. And as long as those three numbers reconcile, then you know that it's not necessarily that someone didn't see it. So my concern here is why is that happening? Is it because something to do with loading? Now, in a few users that I know that have tested V2 embedded on whatever page versus V2 native, the sort of non-embedded version just blows everything out of the water, or is equal and or better. It's never worse.
You think it's because of iframe? Some people might have issues with iframes loading or whatever. Like
correct, because whenever you have a third-party script going on with third-party blockers, JavaScript blockers, and all that other stuff is increasing, but you wouldn't. And so therefore, because Google is sending it onto a browser, as in a native browser, it's probably got a lot more blocking going on while Facebook launches into its own browser, which is internally into the Facebook app itself. And so that's probably why it's not blocking, or you're not seeing an impact inside the Facebook browser, because Facebook obviously wants to show everything possible, while Google has no control over the browser, as in our own browsers. And as a result, that's being left to. So I'm wondering whether that's. So I would like to have that ruled out before you go and make too many drastic changes, and go down a rabbit hole trying to solve a problem that. So let's try and. I guess the point is, let's understand what the problem is first before we try and go down the rabbit hole to test it. So if you already started split testing it, that's great. That's fine. Don't stop it. But that's the first thing that I would like to see confirmed. Is that who you think is landing on the page is actually landing on the page?
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Hope that. Or reach out, man, if you need any technical assistance of sorts.
Thank you.
No problem. So Eric, you could do that too.
Okay.
I mean, with the direct now at ChatGPT, it's so easy. I like screenshotted my WordPress pages and just said, make this into HTML, CSS, and then just gave it to me, and then I just pasted it. Like it took me like 10 minutes to basically update.
Yeah. So anyway,
Really?
our new AI builder is coming out very soon. So that'll be even easier. So what we're doing behind the scenes is we're doing a whole lot of research type stuff. And then that feeds into what to do with the page. So yeah, I'm hoping later this week we should be able to release that. The single goal there being is that it won't be an embed. So the DT is not an embed onto the page. It's actually just like the direct link version, except it's got a full page builder experience around it. So you can actually go and build, big fancy pages if you wanted to, and it won't require embedding. So the main issue being is what you've just alluded to, is because we have so little control over what the other pages are doing. For example, you can go to Inquire to Unbounce and saying, hey, can you please just load this thing faster? That'll never happen. And so yeah, kicking and screaming, we decided to build our own, but with a few bells and whistles, where the goal is, we're actually changing how we will launch the GTM container that you are currently using. And we're hoping that in our test, we're getting it up to close to 95 to 98 in most cases, even with GTM containers loading. So that's going to be released really soon. So the goal here being super fast page speed and really nothing else out there to compare against, for that very reason, is because any slowness costs money, costs real money. I wish people understood that much more.
So I don't use GTM on any of our stuff. We just do it directly on the, like, are we losing out by not using GTM?
Yep. Okay, so I guess my question is, are you running multiple traffic sources to the same funnel? So are you using Facebook? Because I know in your case, I've seen sometimes you got quite a few. So I'm trusting that you're using a Google-centric DT versus a Facebook-centric DT versus a TikTok-centric DT.
No, I just put all the scripts. I mean, I was going to use GTM for V2, but then I think there's a blocker where I have separate clients going to the same domain on WordPress, and then so I would need separate GTM.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. You know what? Okay, well, why don't you just reach out to me with what the setup is? Let me have a think about it, because we've got some fairly complex setups being done with our native container. The only reason why I bring it up is because of this. And perhaps you might say, like, you know what, it's not a big enough benefit for me, which is great. But at the volume and scale that you're doing, you should probably consider this. Let me just go to Kitchen DT. Nope, I have not turned it on there. Let me see. You know what? I'll just turn it on here. Right, so I put my container in, and if I just click that, let's just, let's do. I don't know if TikTok's going to last very long, or whether Congress will get rid of it or something. All right. Right. So you download the container, upload it, publish it, and that's kind of done. But what this does now is when you go inside its GTM itself, you have entry and exit, and you can actually send the view content event, and we send the questions, answers, the whole shebang is being sent to you. Now, here's the thing for Google especially is this one here. We've actually abstracted the complexity with it and just give it to you as a custom field, so you can just.
It makes a big difference.
So yeah, so if you, by adding this in, I've seen a 30% improvement in conversion rates just through this because of the better data source. Some people don't report anywhere near that much, but that seems to be the consensus number between 20 and 30. Now, because I know Jack, I don't know, are you using enhanced conversions?
Yeah, I have it set up where it automatically recognizes it, and then I can see when I'm running the pixel helper that it's being sent over. So I think it's somehow Google's scraping it.
Okay. Well, if you want to, you can definitely, if you want, you can, I don't know, maybe send 5% of traffic to one of these setups and see if it works better for you. So what you would do is obviously go and pick up your phone here, your first name, last name, so on and so forth, the country code. If you don't have one specifically, you can use one of the geo IP fields that we have. And so on and so forth. And so obviously all the information is being passed across. This is making a massive difference, especially at scale. So yeah, so definitely test it out. I spent I don't know, well over a couple 100 hours doing this. So use it.
I want to. And then for Facebook, if we let's say we fire multiple events, not just lead events. Like if I want to fire a reg event.
Okay, yeah. Okay, then you can use the identifier. But alternatively, what you can do is you can actually send over a view content event. Because this is just sending a signal into GTM. You can actually block or pause the one that we have, and just clone it and turn it into some other event that you want to.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so there are other benefits of using it because we've optimized how the whole thing sends data across. So I had someone who said to me, because listen, I just want to run TikTok traffic. I don't wanna use Facebook. I said, great. You can definitely. Oh, sorry, it was some third tier system, some a native network of some sort. And I said, why don't you send Facebook across, map or Taboola or Outbrain or whatever it was to the Facebook signal that's coming in, but just don't fire the Facebook pixel. And so what you're doing now is, because we've abstracted all the data layer variables. In fact, when you upload it into GTM, you'll see the damn thing is huge, man. It's and we took, I don't know, hundreds of hours to build the damn thing for that very reason, is because it's scalable in many other ways. So because a lot of times I get told it's like you don't for example, you don't have I don't know, some obscure ad network. I'm like, yeah, but you do realize that these are just signals being sent. You can map anything you want to any of these signals that you want. And so pause the Facebook pixel and just add in your Taboola one or your Outbrain or whatever the heck it is, and continue to use that functionality. Because what it does, it makes tracking into like a 60-second activity, rather than a fingers crossed, toes crossed, did not make any mistakes, which is usually what happens. So use this, at least all the mapping is automated and taken care of. And testing is easier.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions? Hey, Josh, you were going to run a test with embed versus non-embed.
We need to get back to it again now. We just
Okay. All right.
Cool.
I don't know, Jack, if you've used the experiments yet.
Yeah, I'm running one right now. I mean, just launched it yesterday. And,
okay, cool. All right. So then you can get rid of your VMO account and not paying them 10 grand a year.
I mean, the elements are,
you know what? We built this, and then I said, oh, how much do other people charge for it? I was like, oh, why are we giving this away?
Does Hotjar work if on scripts on embed on direct lead
Yes.
pages too? Okay.
Absolutely. Now, if you want, you can even launch it through GTM if you wanted to. So just the container we have, just add it in there.
Okay. Jack, the other benefit is all asynchronous then as well.
Correct. Yeah. So anyway, so we're in a few more updates. There's a few more things that are coming through. So one of the things that we've done over the last few months is LeadZook is no longer like just one thing. It's become a conglomerate. It's become like a network of different apps behind the scenes, that each optimized in its specific way. So we're using 4 different database types now. So like a bunch of NoSQL stuff happening behind the scenes. There's a vector database that's running behind the scenes as well at the moment. It's building some data up. So you'll be able to see the benefits of that very, very soon. We're releasing a client-side and server-side pixel very soon. And so no matter where you are in your funnel, you can actually send that information back to us, because one of the things we're doing is building a Sankey diagram visual, and that you can talk to. So you can say, hey, listen, only show me, my conversions from California, and show me a difference of clustering of conversions that are happening versus not happening. And if there's enough data there, it should be able to give you a fairly good profile of who's not converting in your current funnel. And the reason for that, because currently at the moment you have to use pivot tables and all that other kind of fancy stuff, which not a lot of people do. But the goal there is if you're getting traffic reasonably well and it's coming through, but just not converting, then why not just give them a different offer or a different hook or a different landing page or a different experience, and see if we can turn that around. So rather than cutting off the traffic, let's just divert that traffic into a different place. The other thing that I was working on today is actually a LeadsHook portal. This is where you have leads who finish off halfway or quarter way. They've just given you the email or something, but they didn't quite give you the phone number or verification. You can just send them a link. It'll actually go into a portal and actually indicate these are the 5 fields you haven't done yet. So it's like a static DT. And you can keep sending them over and over and over again. So your automations can keep sending them to the one place. And I'll see if I can show you a bit of a graphic on it. Actually, I will. This is super.
Yeah, I tested something similar to that. I want to get back into that, where everyone that dropped off on email before we got their phone number, we would just email them. And then when they visit a landing page, we would like look up their information, and then so we would just ask their phone number, and that's all we would need to then call them. So
Correct. Yeah. So we'll just to hang on before I share something. I'm just going to presume record.
Hey,
All right. I'm going to call I think it's called the easiest win in lead gen. I called it. So it's a much more refined version of this. So this is where, you ask for name and email, send to your CRM, you ask for the phone number, send to CRM, you do your SMS verification, that's what you're doing, you send to your CRM. And then when you send an email out, you just link it back again. And if you push the URL, the email in the URL itself, it'll just bypass that and go directly to a phone number node. So that's a phone number node. You're one step away from getting a new quote or better price or whatever. Now, Jack, in your case, we have already done this update. I just haven't released any training on it yet. If you pass the lead ID, we actually grab all the details about the lead ID now. That was added in last week.
Okay.
So all you got to do is make sure that whenever you send to your CRM or whatever system you're using, that you just pass the lead ID, and if you send that back in the param, it'll actually pick up all the details we all have already about the person. So that way you can actually so if it's lead ID, you can actually say, oh hi, first name, it'll pick it up. Hi John, whatever, and that way because previously what people would do was just send like a whole long string of stuff if they wanted to add that back into on the screen.
Yeah, I would send that as URL parameters like first name, last name.
Yeah. No need for that anymore. You can just have just pass in the lead ID. Sorry, Eric, you had a question.
no, not just yet. You can finish this up actually.
Okay, all right. Okay, cool. Well, right. So anyway, so long story short, this plus the sort of portal idea, they kind of combine together, and that's going to be the next. It doesn't replace anything that you're doing. It just means that if anyone kind of like getting stuck at this point, there is a better mechanism to get the rest of the information rather than sending them back to a DT, which is probably not the most optimal experience. I've kind of had this idea for about 5 years, but no one ever asked for it, so we never built it. But now that I built a full entire funnel around it, I was like, oh, cool. This is so what they're doing in the case of the legal contracts. We actually make an API call to a Google Sheet, and it brings back on each cell. Let's say we've got 15 clients, 15 different contracts are sitting on each cell. So we just bring those back with custom fields already included, and Leads just replaces all the values. Because every lawyer has, or every legal team out there has their own spin on the contract they want people to sign, and this accommodates that really, really well. But in the portal idea, it'll actually be inside the portal, so you can set up whatever the hell you want. And including the signature. So yeah, that should be getting released really soon. Excited to see how people use it. But what it does, my goal here was that so that you can have a much better conversation with the client, saying, listen, after we give you the lead, what the hell are you doing? And they're spending lots of time chasing them to get a sale. And if a lot of the chasing involves getting documentation and additional information, well, you can sort of say, hey, listen, I can take care of that for you for an extra, whatever, X $million a month for you. And so that way your sales team can just take care of a part of it, and we'll take care of the chasing part for you. And that would be one way around it. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I do. It's like, are you guys seeing anything with we've been doing now home services, gosh, 5+ years, 6 years now. And it's kind of interesting how your contact rates, appointment set rates are kind of very similar in that anywhere from 12 to, maybe 20% range. I'm just curious if you guys are seeing anything out there where it's helped increase contact rates and or appointment set rates to kind of, get those to increase.
The framing and the positioning of what the call is going to be about. That's the biggest mover of contact rates ever. So what I mean by that is, rather than saying, hey, get your free quote, that kind of thing, starting to move the positioning of what the offer is and how beautiful their garden, their kitchen's going to look, and how beautiful this is going to look. Almost adding in So if it's a guy that's doing it, in fact, that API is coming in very soon. Based on the name, we'll be able to give you a probability of gender. So you can actually, if you want, on the thank you page, you can actually direct them to 2 thank you pages. If gender is male, then send them to a, I don't know, man cave type page. If it's a female, make it, because the point is that whoever's doing this kitchen thing is not just doing it for their own benefit. They're also doing it because they want to, maybe, I don't know, be a better husband or something or whatever. So you want to bring that in to the emotional appeal of the stuff that we're doing into the funnel itself. Because a lot of these sort of funnels, like solar and all this, they're very left brain. In fact, there was one that a review I did a couple of hours ago. The guy's really struggling. He's doing car finance. And he's like, oh, it's only $25 a week to get a new car. And it's all just like money, money, money. And then I said, and I said to him, I said, I can almost guarantee that you're getting subprime leads. He goes, how'd you know? Clients keep saying they're all subprime leads. I said, yeah, look at the hook. Look at the appeal you're using in your ad. It's obviously going to attract that segment of the market. So you need to change the appeal in. In fact, I tested it in solar. So for anyone who's doing, where it was a solar panel and a house with solar panel as a background image. And I said, can we just put something with humans on the page? And that bumped their conversion at volume. It was a $4 million a month spend type level campaign just by changing the imagery. Because the point is that everyone's being very left brain in these markets. If we just add in a little bit of the emotional appeal type stuff in, all of a sudden, it makes a world of difference because you're changing the frame of what it is. Did it for life insurance funnel. So the emails were going out, well, get life insurance, this sort of stuff. And we basically said, listen, as a dad who is looking for this, so this is where we starting to bring in ChatGPT. So I don't think I've shared this. So Eric, you should test this. All right. You should definitely test this. All right. OpenAI. All right. So what we do is we grab a bunch of information about the person. You make an API call to ChatGPT. All right. All right. And your prompt will be, for your market as someone who's buying a kitchen, blah, 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 blah. Please reply back with a persuasive yet respectful, I don't know, thing for a landing page copy, all that sort of stuff. It comes back, you map the response to a field, but the field will come back with HTML tags and all that sort of stuff. So it'll actually look like a full landing page. And all you're doing is on the form. In this case, it'll be on the form. You would display that right here. And what it does, it actually gives you a personalized landing page for where the high threshold parts of the funnel are, is already being being personalized to the person that's coming through your funnel. So if I'm a dad with 3 kids, it'll talk about dad with 3 kids in the case of insurance, for example. In your case, you got windows and doors. You can say, well, one of the main things to work out is you don't get ripped off, and so on and so forth. So focus on the prompting, and what it does, it actually has a extremely personalized landing page copy. And you can also do the same thing finally on the thank you page itself to create personalized thank you pages. And what the goal here would be is to keep the person's expectation from you and the positioning of your client or your offer or whatever the next step in the funnel is in a slightly different light than, hey, we'll contact you for a quote. Right? That's not very exciting. There was one funnel that I worked on. This was for medical leads. We created a whole character called Jenny or whatever, and Jenny would email out saying, hey, I'm so looking forward to helping you lose weight, and it became more personalized sort of thing, and send some before and after stories. I've never tested this because I've never had anyone brave enough in one of these funnels to test it, where you actually on this page here, just say, just like Jenny below, look at the before and after experience she had, and so you show a before and after story on a form. So these are the things that a lot of the info marketer types do, which we don't necessarily use inside these type of funnels, but it's worth testing, because as you test, you'll start realizing that I don't need to be so left brain. In every funnel that I've ever worked on, whenever I've added in a little bit of the right brain stuff, a little bit more emotionalization, a little bit more softer stuff, it's always moved conversions. The trick always is how much do I do it by, and that's kind of boils down to testing. So I hope that answers the question.
Sure, appreciate it.
No problem.
Here's what we find interesting. Talking to a lot of these, home services guys, there's they see interesting results, or actually decent results when they're buying, a shared lead. And we don't do shared leads, but these, a lot of them do buy shared leads. And
Okay.
it's just interesting to kind of hear like, oh, we pay X, Y, or Z for the shared leads, and they work great for us versus us buying, you charging us, yeah, exactly. So I don't know, maybe these consumers are just filling out forms everywhere, you know what I mean?
Or alternatively, they've got a fast response system that is allowing them to get in front of the customer quicker than anybody else. So there's no need to overpay if I can get in front of the customer as fast as possible. So what they've done is they've created an arbitrage where their speed of contact is what's allowing them to tell you their shared leads. But then I guess if you were to jump on a call saying, hey, has anyone contacted you before about this one? They may be the first person to reach out. But there is a decay. I've been in situations where they've been 3 or 5 or 7 leads being sold. But the other one is like the whole one-to-one thing that's coming up in the US with TCPA. I don't know if when's the due date? I think it's about 12 months away. It's one-to-one leads TCPA. There's like a clock. There you go, Jan 2025. Where there's someone actually built a clock, a countdown clock. There was anyway. Someone showed me a site where there's almost like a countdown clock that's counting down to the day. Maybe it's this law firm here that's trying to. No. Anyway, it's about I don't know, about 11 or 12 months away now at this stage. So if that's the case, then shared leads would actually almost become like a co-reg style, because the consumer has to accept it. And if that's the case, then you can definitely use the results link version of Leads Hook because that essentially is what that was built for. So in 2015, I was doing quite a bit of co-reg. So that's what I built results for. And there were snippets of copy, but then the offers I would present on that final page would be based on how they answered the question. And so I would make sure that I only gave them the offer that they were most likely to convert with, rather than just the usual co-reg type offer, which was just dumping a whole bunch of stuff on a page. It was mostly irrelevant. This allowed you to optimize for who they said they were based on the information you already had captured. So I'd create my own co-reg offer without it being a co-reg. So I would just pick up from CPA network, 5 or 10 offers, put them in a Google Sheet, profile the person, make an API call to the Google Sheet, bring back the offers that I should present, and just present those here. And that's essentially what I did at scale.
Were you running sweeps and promos back then?
There's not much I didn't run, but the reason why I'll tell you why I stopped. Now I'll tell you why I stopped. I stopped because one time I actually sent a survey out for a skincare offer, because I was looking to buy a skincare company at the time. And so I did a skincare offer, and then I sent a survey out saying, hey, what has been the experience like? And like, I can't refund, and all that sort of shit popped up. And I was like, you know what? I think I might be promoting shitty companies here. And so I stopped. I stopped. Anyway, so then I bought the company, and this is what made Leads Hook, actually, right here. If it wasn't for this, there would be no Leads Hook. Yeah, so I bought a company out for $1. It's a hair care serum product for female market. Beautylogy, System 1, System 2, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, well, the product doesn't work because I used it and I lost my hair. So, but anyway, it's the opposite of Rogaine. It's no gain. Anyway, long story short, that's what allowed me to make. I needed to make a funnel that would profile like thousands of combinations of stuff. Yeah, and anyway, that's where that popped, and that made Leads Hook, and then I don't know, on and onwards. So Yeah.
Cool.
Any more questions on this? Well, if there's
No.
no questions, guys, I will same time, same place next week. I think we're looking at teams next week, which is the next part of the 7 steps of the scalable funnels. Otherwise, really nice seeing everyone on the call. They're still very unpopular, despite doing it for a few months now. So you can tell only the ballers turn up here. It's but I am getting a few comments actually where they're like, hey, listen, we were enjoying those on YouTube, so it's not just for people.
Got someone to go through it all. Like I said, it's good.
I'm sorry.
I had someone go through it all. He was asking for marketing kind of stuff. Like, just go watch this.
Yeah, hopefully they got value out of it. All right, guys, have a lovely week, and look forward to chatting with you soon. Same time, same place. I can help you guys out. Please don't hesitate to reach out. All right, Jack, if
Thanks,
there's anything
guys.
I can help you with, dude, just reach out, man. Chat
Okay.
soon.
Thanks, Nick.
See you guys.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye for now.
Nick.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, bye.